Military generals and admirals demanding Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin and Joint Chiefs of Staff Chairman Mark Milley resign over the mess in Afghanistan. In a letter, they argue Austin and Milley should have recommended against this dangerous withdrawal in the strongest possible terms. If they did not do everything within their authority to stop the hasty withdrawal, they should resign. There must be accountability at all levels for this tragic and avoidable debacle. Joining us right now is retired Army Ranger, Congressman Brian Mast. He joins us from D.C. Congressman, good morning to you.
Good morning to you.
Yesterday was a tough day for all of us to watch. It wasn't supposed to end that way.
Yeah, it's tough for me to just watch the exchange. Our fighters coming off the aircraft underneath the flag draped caskets. Just preparing to speak to you right now. I had to sit here and wipe the tears out of my eyes just because I saw those caskets coming off the plane. I've tried to hold myself together here, but I've seen it so many times that it's impossible to watch, especially when it was this senseless, this preventable, and entirely the result of something that none of our service members ever had. They were never intimidated. All the guys that I was in the hospital next to, like Johnny Joey Jones and others that everybody's desire laying in those beds was just to get back in the fight, just to hold the line, just to fight for the things that we believed in. And that's what these fighters were all about. But they were killed by the lambs in the White House that allowed themselves to be intimidated, which is what they never were.
And speaking of the dignified transfer, and you see that, and one of the enduring images of it is of the president checking his watch. And it's, a number of the families who talked to the Washington Post said, the president came in and talked to us. We lost our loved ones, and he kept talking about Bo, and he kept checking his watch, they said. The New York Post today says the president, looking at his watch, says it all. He can't wait to move on. So for him, this is he's got something invested in it, but ultimately it's a political calculation. He wants to be the one who ended the war. But Americans, by a vast majority, Congressman, are upset that not that we are getting out, but that he did it this way.
Yeah, there's been an important saying that the most important thing that you bring into battle is the reason why. Why are you doing that? What are you fighting for? And the why for President Biden in every single action here is totally unacceptable. And that's what has to be held to account for everybody that's been a part of this process. Why did you let yourself become intimidated? Why did you pick an optical date just so you could have a photo op? Why did you give up the high ground? Why didn't you listen to those that warned you otherwise? And to talk about the checking the time real quick. I've had a lot of fathers, mothers, family members cry on my shoulder, and they would apologize. I'm sorry I'm for crying. I'm sorry for this emotion. And I say to them every single time, there's no shame for anybody that has tears. There's shame for the people that don't have tears over our greatest fighters that gave their lives. President Biden is the one that deserves the shame. He's more concerned about his watch than about giving those families every single minute to talk about how they feel and the stories that they could tell about their sons and daughters, about why they grew up wanting to be fighters for our country and what they believed in, and the funny things that they remember about him. His concern was, how is the time ticking? Yeah. That's heartbreaking.
It is heartbreaking. Or, one of the families at the dignified transfer, and we quoted this man, Mark Schmitz, a moment ago from the Washington Post. He didn't want to shake the hand of Joe Biden because he regards Joe Biden as the reason his son Jared is dead today. A Marine who lost his life last week. And he said to the president after, the president kept talking about Bo, Schmidt didn't want to hear about Bo. He wanted to talk about his son. He took out a photo and said, don't ever forget that name. Don't ever forget that face. Don't ever forget the names of the other 12. That's the least we can get.
No, we have to make sure as we discuss this, we never for a second take away from our service members, that they knew the hazards of their chosen profession. And then they went in and they undertook those dangerous actions anyways. That is who they were. But in doing that, they expected competent, thoughtful, American-driven leadership that believed in life the same way that they did, that you fight for freedom with everything you have or you don't fight for it at all. And that's where that difference lies. We have a president that went to the ends of the earth to quit, to give up, to back down, to not hold the line. Wholly un-American.
You know, Congressman, it appears he lied to all of us because he said, we will not leave Afghanistan until every American is out. And we left 24 hours early, and there are still hundreds of Americans and thousands of our allies. So ultimately, people are watching right now, and they're frustrated, and they're thinking, okay, you know, how do we get accountability? How do we get accountability for what just happened?
Every statement from beginning to end of this was a lie, right up until the last statements of Secretary Blinken, who should be one of the ones held accountable, in addition to others should be removed immediately for every part of that he played in this role, right up until the last second. What did Blinken say just now? Well, the terrorists told us that they're not going to let terrorists into the country, and we believe that. Every talking point from this administration, from their secretaries, from the president on down, was to say the exact opposite of either what was going on in the world or Afghanistan or anything else. Those were their very literal talking points. Say the opposite of what is actually happening. And then what did they do after that? They showed us the back of their head every single time as they would about face, walk out of the room, and not take questions, because that's just one more place that they were too intimidated to even take questions.
Well, sir, we thank you for your service. We thank you for joining us. And, you know, our thoughts and our prayers are with everybody who sacrificed so much over the last 20 years.
All the best.
You bet.
I want to